This is a short video on using Endnote or citation management software and how to quickly look up references using Google Scholar. Now you won't need this a huge amount for statistics, although a couple of references are needed in your project, but it might help you in other subjects if you learn how to use citation management software, just because it automates a lot of the fiddly tasks in formatting references. So if you haven't used Endnote before, you can download it through the university. You'll have to go to the library website, and if you can't find it, then ask the librarians for help. They're always very friendly. Once you've got Endnote installed, you can create what's called a library, and this is a library of references for you to insert into your Word documents. So I'll just create a new one, and I will call it PUB 708 example. Now I usually have several Endnote libraries going at any one time just because they're quite handy. I have a different library for each project that I work on rather than lumping all my references in together. And now when I create references, they'll all go in here. Now if you click on the plus sign, you actually can just type in all the information for any particular article. Now mostly it'll be journal articles, I would imagine. The other common ones will be web pages, which are always very fiddly to format in citation lists or reference lists. And you might also be using book sections quite commonly, or book pages, and there'll be a category here for book. If you start typing in data, information, and you realize halfway through that it's set to book and you're actually doing an article, you can just switch it over to the other type and it should retain all of the information. It'll just plop it into the appropriate part for a journal article. So that's if you're typing in the information by hand, and I very rarely do this anymore. I will do this for websites because I can't download it automatically, but most of the time these days, which is a big difference from when I did my postgrad, is that you can just download it from Google. Do you want to save the changes? No, because I haven't written anything. So if we go into Google, you'll see here that I'm actually in Google Scholar, and I have a shortcut to this on my favorites because I use it all the time. If you don't know where Google Scholar is, just go to Google and search for Google Scholar. And this is a dedicated Google search just for research articles, which is nice. So if I want to search for an article, oh, here we go. I've obviously searched for something recently: fruit and vegetable email SMS habit. So let's search that. So this was the one that we had for our first quiz, and if I want to cite this in a paper and I don't want to type in all the information, if I click the cite here, you'll say it'll give you this information that you can cut and paste into your Word documents in a couple of different formats, but you can also just import it straight into Endnote. So if I click that, you can see here that it's downloaded a little file with the extension ENW. Presumably stands for Endnote something or other. I don't know what the W stands for. Once we've downloaded that, we can import it into Endnote quite easily. So if I go to Endnote, I'll go File, Import, and I want to import a file. Now all of these downloads end up in my Downloads folder, so I'll just go there. Better sort by date and get my most recent ones. Here it is, Scholar 5 ENW. Open. Now you've got a couple of different options here. Often when you get an automatic download option for a citation, it'll be in Reference Manager format, RIS. That's quite common if you're using one of the databases through the library. So you just have to be sure to check that you've got the right option selected here, or it might not import your reference correctly. In this case, an Endnote import should work because that's what it told me it was downloading. Okay, so that took a little while. You have to have a bit of patience here. Now it shows up as bold because I haven't looked at it yet, and as soon as I look at it, it will go into regular font. So if I click in that and double click it, I can open up and you'll see that it's typed in all the information for me, which is just lovely. The other thing that's really handy is to put somewhere in here the notes. So you can either use the notes or your research notes, but type in some keywords or whatever you think you're going to use to search for it. So you've read the paper, you know it's got some interesting information, and you know you're going to need it for a particular paragraph in your essay. And once you've looked at a lot of research articles, you can forget which article had which bit in it, and you need to remember what you want it for. Now, all of your information in the EndNote library is searchable, so if you type in a note here, you'll be able to search for it. So I'm going to type in quiz 1 because I know that I want it for quiz 1, and you might type in a different reference for your notes based on what you think it will be useful for. Quite often I cut and paste bits and pieces of the article as I read them into the notes section so that I can search them later. So I'll save that, close that out, and if I open up Word, and I'll just do this quickly, this is a paragraph and I want to cite something for quiz 1. And so here, this is where I'd put the cursor, and I need to go to my EndNote add-in, which is up the top here. EndNote. I want to insert a citation, so I'll click that. Now, I only actually have one article in my library at the moment, but once you've got 100 articles in here, you probably don't want to scroll through them all. You're going to want to search for something useful like quiz 1. Find. And now it's found this article that I need. Click Insert. And you can see that it has given me the citation that I want in text, and it's also put the full reference down the bottom. And then it's just up to me when I come to finish my essay to put in whatever other format I'm needing. References. And then my reference list will appear down there. Now, something that often happens is that you actually don't want everything in brackets. You want to say, I want to cite Rompotis, and then you just want et al., and then you just want the year in brackets. Now, if you right-click on the citation, you can go to Edit Citation down here. And you can say that you can this has changed a little from the last time I used it. You should be able to completely change the look and feel of this if you want to, but often the only difference you need is either you want the whole thing in brackets or you want the author first because it's part of your sentence and you just want the year in brackets. Sometimes you will have mentioned the author previously in a paragraph or sentence and you actually just want the year, and so that would be, you would then click exclude the author, or perhaps you've already said the year. You said in 1995 so-and-so published a paper, in which case you would then exclude the year and keep the author. So there's a few different options there. So I'll click that and it will reformat it. So if you're using EndNote, always use EndNote to reformat your in-text citations, because this is kind of interactive. It needs to keep a link from all the articles it uses up here so that it can generate the correct reference list down here. Now, the reason EndNote is nice to use is not only can you go through and search through your library for all the citations that you need at any particular time, but you can actually change the whole style of the reference list. So if you go to Style here, we can change that to Harvard's a very common one. I can't find it. E-G-H, Harvard. So Harvard's a common format. Okay. and it'll go through and change all the formatting for you. So it means if you do have 100 references in a list, which can happen with a master's or a PhD thesis, you don't have to reformat everything by hand. You just get Endnote to do it for you. If it's not doing it quite right and you really need to customize it, you can create your own style, and that's a bit more advanced. So you'd have to go to a librarian, ask them for help, or look up a help video on creating your own style. But as you can see, it has a lot of styles in here. Now commonly you'll just want the author date, or you want Harvard, or APA is quite common as well. And in some of the engineering contexts you might want a numbered one, so that's quite nice. If I click that in, so you can see now with a numbered reference list, it's put the number up here and it's changed this to being numbered down here.